Weird encounter on a rural dead-end road. First, a little context as to where, when, and how this occurred. I was in rural New Brunswick, Canada, at my grandparents' home. They had both recently passed away, and my family was there to help clean up the house. It's located near the end of a dirt road that ends in a little lake, so there's rarely any traffic down the road, except occasionally during the day when people come to kayak and swim in the lake. The house has no running water because the pipes froze during the winter when nobody was there. But there is a little building about 200 to 300 meters, or a 2-3 minute walk, by the lakeshore that has public bathrooms and showers. It's unlocked 24/7, so we had been using this facility as our place to shower and use the toilet. So it's about 12:10 a.m. on a Monday morning, and after a week of avoiding the gross bathrooms, I was like, screw it. I want to go take a shower and clean up before I go to bed. So I grab a towel and a flashlight and start walking down there. Now keep in mind, without a flashlight, it's absolutely pitch black and you can't see anything, which means anyone who has a light is very visible from basically all sides. At this point, everything was pretty chill, and I was just enjoying the peaceful walk, when suddenly, towards the end of the road, I hear a car's engine start and lights flick on. The vehicle was facing away from me, so I saw taillights only. Immediately, I'm like, what the hell? Why are there people down there at this hour? Because you rarely see anybody parking down there, even during the day. So I'm already a little bit creeped out. The car does a 3-point turn and starts coming up the road towards me. It's an older model Chrysler 300 that looks beat up. I've also never seen this vehicle out here before, which is weird because this is the kind of place that only locals use, so you get to know the cars around here. It's pitch black, and I can't see inside the car. It drives past me super slow, and then I breathe a sigh of relief as I start to leave towards the main road. At this point, I'm almost at the dirt path where the bathrooms are, and I can see the lights from the building. They have a small light on 24/7. That's when I turn around, and the car is doing another 3-point turn coming back towards me. At this point, I'm freaking out, like what is going on? So I turn on my flashlight and just run towards the bathroom area as the car is making its way back. I duck in behind the storage shed for hiding. The car passes the bathrooms, but immediately stops, turns around again. So the headlights are now facing in my direction. And then everything goes silent and the lights turn off. I was tempted to go in the building and do my bathroom business, but they would have seen me walking into the light, and I felt unsafe coming out of the bathroom as I didn't know who was out there. I hear some doors opening and closing on the car, and I thought I heard the sound of a voice, but it was faint. I saw the light from the headlamp or flashlight over by the car, and I heard someone walking around. I was so terrified. I thought I was going to get kidnapped or something, because I'm all alone in the middle of nowhere, with some weirdo in a beat-up car. I wanted to run back towards the house, but I couldn't, because the car was right in front of my hiding spot, so I couldn't go that way. After about 25 minutes of sitting there, I stopped hearing the noises, but the car's still there, so I decided to bushwhack through the forest to cut back to the house and avoid the car. So I safely made it back to the house and never saw that car again. My conclusion is that maybe they were doing something illegal, and they saw me coming with my flashlight, so they got out of there because they thought I was a cop coming to investigate. Then they saw it was just some random kid, so decided to come back and keep doing whatever illegal thing it is they were doing. Seems like the most likely explanation, but I'm glad I didn't have to find out. If anyone has any ideas of what might have been going on, please share. I was about 10 or 11, I believe, when this occurred, and it was certainly creepy for me at the time, and I still remember it to this day. I will do my best in explaining it. Basically, my family lived in Maryland at the time, and we would vacation in Shenandoah National Park a few times in the 2000s. Well, it was about 2001 or 2002, and we had planned a trip to the park. Most of the people, when you were there, are your typical families camping and hiking, and Boy Scouts. Everyone is there to enjoy nature. Well, we were leaving, and we had stopped at one of the park's tourist rest stops. I separated from my family to go and find the men's bathroom. It was downstairs in a basement-like part of the building, very secluded and creepy, and I entered this big bathroom with a row of sinks, and I was alone. I quickly used the urinal and did not hear anyone enter or see anyone enter. As I turn around to wash my hands, I see a man who I did not see before. He was not dressed like your typical park guest. As far as I can describe, I'm not kidding. He looked like a killer or something. His vibe was way off. He was dressed in all black and a leather jacket, and looked so out of place. I then looked at what he was doing, and he had a huge combat-looking knife, and he was trying to wash something off it in the sink. I looked at him, and he was just acting in an unusual way as he washed the knife, almost tranced-like. He ended up noticing me watching him, as if he had not noticed me when he entered, and he gave me a look like he had not wanted to be seen cleaning the knife, and it was a very, very cold stare that I had only gotten from a few other scary people. It was as if he was contemplating in his head certain decisions, and I quickly left the bathroom and hurried upstairs. I never mentioned it and left with my family. He wasn't doing anything illegal, and I, as a kid, figured I would rather leave it alone than bring it up. But being alone in this underground state park bathroom, with the man who looked like he had just hidden a body, cleaning a knife, so out of place, dressed up so weird, I know it might not seem very creepy, but when it happened, I assure you it was. We moved in 2004, and I have never been back to the park since. Me and my friends had booked a cabin in a very rural town. This town only had maybe 100 people living in it, and we were only one of 3 houses on the street. The first day of our trip went great, and I went to go to sleep on the top floor of the cabin by myself just before midnight. I woke up at 4:30 to some very loud radio crackle with something that sounded like a woman talking. It almost sounded like it was in the room. We had all brought walkie-talkies for the trip, so I assumed the walkie-talkie on the table across the room was on and went to go switch it off. What I saw was that it was turned off. Me being super sleepy, I just went back to sleep. I woke up again to the same noises later in the night and went over to the walkie-talkie and took the batteries out. I still ended up hearing the sounds again later and ended up staying up the rest of the night. The next morning, I told my friends, and they said I was hallucinating and no one else heard it, so I just brushed it off as me imagining things. What was really scary was what happened the next day before we went to sleep. 2 of my friends went out together to take the bins out, but ended up coming back to say they heard the exact same kind of noises as me near the house. This confirmed what I had heard in the middle of the night was real. Most of us slept in the same room on the bottom floor that final night, with the bedroom door locked. We all made a vow that if we heard anything in the night at all, we'd wake everyone up immediately and drive the 3 hours back home. It could have just been someone's radio left near our cabin, but it was still so scary to hear in the middle of the night 3 separate times, and then have my friends hear it too. So this happened back in February of this year. I, 20 years old, was going out with a large group of friends to get dinner, and then we were going to the only bar worth going to where I live, called The Park. It's a gay bar, and most of us are part of the community. It was around 1 a.m, and we had been at the bar since 10 because people 21 plus got in free from 10 to 11. At around 1, we decided to leave. We had brought 3 cars total, and I was riding with a friend. The other 2 cars had already pulled out of the club parking lot, and they were on their way back to our college. My friend and I were the last ones to leave the parking lot. As we pull out and turn down a separate road, we see a woman standing in the road. This was the same road our friends had just gone down not even 2 minutes before us. We pull closer, and my friend rolls down his window. The woman starts yelling at us, saying she needed help. I went silent because I was terrified, and my friend asked the woman what was wrong. She wouldn't tell us, but she just kept asking for help. My friend ended up rolling his window back up and driving off. Once we were a ways past her, I messaged our group chat and asked if anyone else had seen the woman. My friends said none of them did, but most of them were drunk and probably didn't remember. I think the woman was drunk or high, but she very well could have just been crazy and wanted to hurt us. I live in a small town in the Appalachian Mountains. This event happened in the fall of last year. I, 20 years old, was out with my then girlfriend, best friend David, and another friend, Lisa. We were downtown at the farmer's market. It was dark out, and my friends wanted to walk down the street and just enjoy the nice night. I personally hate being outside in the dark, due to me not knowing what could be outside in the dark. However, I figured we could be safe since we were in a group. While we were just sitting around and talking, I got this eerie feeling that someone, or something, was watching us. I was on high alert and looking around to see if I could see someone looking out their window at us, but I didn't. All of a sudden, my friend David told us that we had to get back to the car. I wasn't going to question him, and as we walked back to the car, I saw him pulling out his pocket knife. Once we were safe in the car, he looks at us and says, "Do not look behind us," and he starts to drive. When he said that, I instantly knew what had been watching us. We drove back to our college and booked it to my apartment, where I shut and locked the door as soon as everyone was inside. I'd heard it just before I shut the door. My girlfriend thought we were both acting stupid, but Lisa believed us. It was out there, and it had followed us for those 15 miles from town to our school.